Welcome to Pure Chart Trading. Right off the bat, I have a question for you. How is it possible that your mentor, who claims to have a 90% win rate strategy and makes hundreds of thousands in the markets, is trying to sell you paid memberships to his group or signals? Do you really think he just wants to help the whole trading community and hand over his trading secret or miracle for $20? I'm not here to show you the nonsense I see every day on social media. I'm only going to show you what has been working for me for years, and I don't use any miracle indicators or special strategies. Just a clean chart and probability. That's how real trading works. Let's look at the first trade example together. I'm waiting for a nice move that will create a break of structure. Now I'm going to mark everything out and wait for a return to my zone and a confirmation. I always mark my zone based on the last opposite candle that was followed by a nice move. Price didn't come back to retest my zone and broke structure again in the meantime. So, I'm going to remark the exact same thing as before and wait for a retest. Until price hits my zone for a retest, I'm doing absolutely nothing and I'm not going to force anything stupid. The wait is over. Price came back to retest my zone and printed a nice candle, which is a clear signal for me to enter the trade. For years, I've been using a 1 to 2 risk to reward system, risking 1% to make a 2% profit. Unfortunately, the first setup of today's video ended in a loss of 1% of my capital. There aren't many mentors out there who will show you a losing trade right out of the gate. They only want to show their strategy in the best possible light, just to scam you into buying their signals or a paid group membership. Losses are part of the game. If you trade like me, even with just a 45% win rate, you're still profitable. You have to remember that a single trade means nothing because we're looking at a large sample size of trades. Let's jump into the next trade example together. In the meantime, make sure to hit that subscribe button or drop a comment down below. As always, we have to wait for a clear impulse and a break of structure to see where the market is likely headed next. Ultimately, the market made a really nice move and clearly showed a break of structure. So now I need to mark everything out and wait for price to return to my zone. I also want to see a confirmation. Without that, I'm definitely not entering the trade. Price came back, just tapped my zone, and immediately printed 2 green candles, which is my signal to enter the trade. Remember, you always want to set your stop loss a little bit below the entire zone so the market doesn't stop you out if it decides to test the zone a bit deeper. I'll risk 1% for a 2% gain, and let's see how this plays out. At this point, I'd probably move my stop loss to break even to prevent an unnecessary loss and just let the trade run until it hits either my target or break even. This is the exact moment you realize just how powerful risk management is and why you must always stick to clear rules. I was down 1%, and this single trade pushed me back up into a 1% profit. Even though there were moments when it looked like the trade would reverse and hit break even, it didn't happen, and it managed to reach my target. Let me know in the comments if the same thing happens to you. If you're ready, let's dive into our third trade for today, and we'll wrap it all up at the end of the video, so make sure to watch until the very end. Let's get into it. Even for our third trade example, I have to wait for a move that creates a break of structure so I know what the market plans to do next. I'm just watching the chart and waiting. I have a break of structure, and even though the market looks like it's in a downtrend, experience has shown me that it doesn't just keep dropping for days. It often reverses, especially if you spot a change of character. So, I'm going to mark everything out and wait for a retest of my zone. A clear, clean price reaction to my zone, so I am definitely entering the trade. As you can see, I always place my stop loss behind the entire zone, and I know exactly why. I'll set up a 1 to 2 risk to reward, and let's see how it plays out in this third trade example. And there we go, another 2% gain. Now let me explain when I actually move my stop loss to break even. If price covers at least 75% of my take profit, that's when I shift my stop to break even, just in case the market falls short of my target and turns against me. If you were to move your stop loss to break even any sooner, you can see right here in exact detail that the market would have stopped you out and then headed straight to your take profit without you. In most cases, this is exactly what the market does, and what I just told you has saved me so many times from getting stopped out unnecessarily. Let's jump into the last trade for today, and we'll crunch the numbers at the end. For the last time, I'm going to wait for a nice impulse that shows a break of structure, and until then, I'm waiting. It looks like the start of a downtrend, and we see a clear move that created a break of structure. So, as always, I'm going to mark everything out. I'll draw my zone based on the last opposite candle and wait for a pullback that includes confirmation that price isn't just going to steamroll right through the zone. A new move and a new break of structure, so let's mark everything out again and see which zone will work out. In this case, I have two active zones that price could realistically bounce off of. I always mark my zone based on the last opposite candle that was followed by a clean move. Price came back for a retest, tapped into my zone, and immediately printed a strong red candle as if it wanted to bounce right off it. So, I'm setting my 1% risk and 2% target, and I'm definitely entering the trade. I placed my stop loss behind the entire zone. I entered the trade, and right at that moment the market went against me because it wanted to test the zone a bit deeper. You can never predict, based on just one candle, that the price is going to instantly bounce right after your entry and run straight to your target. So let's do the math. The first trade was a loss, but the next 3 were winners, which brings us to a total of a 5% profit for today. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit that subscribe button, and feel free to drop your opinion below in the comments. Subscribe.